have great news. I just came back from church and I have to tell you, Jesus Christ has risen. He's still our Lord and Savior. And I have to tell you, those are great news for me, of course. Otherwise, welcome to the channel. It's Tiggo, and I appreciate that you're here with me today. We have the Tiggo Cross. I nearly said 4 Pro because some of you might have thought maybe when it's coming in, it's going to replace the Tiggo 4 Pro. But for some reason, Chery South Africa decided to run them concurrently, meaning this is not necessarily replacing the 4 Pro for now. I love that car. We reviewed it back in 2021 and I still have some feelings for it. Let me call it that. Still have some feelings for it. I have to say that when I looked at this one, especially from the front, because they plushed it out, they made it a little bit more, diamond-like. And I feel like, you know what, it's making the 4 Pro to look a little bit dated, especially from the front. But everything else, proportion-wise and everything, I always love the 4 Pro. And with this one, I think they've done a great job as well. They didn't necessarily ruin it. And when it comes to the rear, this light bar, of course, now it's talking the new language. You know that. It reminds me of the T-Cross as well, which is more or less the same size in terms of the light bar and everything else. It's not necessarily the same thing because you know what? I can't even say it's inspiration or anything like that because I don't know which one between the two came first. But when I'm looking at it overall, it's not always easy to find good proportions, especially with this kind of crosses from small cars and you feel like it's bumped up a bit. So sometimes, when I'm thinking about the cars that we reviewed on the channel, I'm thinking of the Mahindra XUV 3XO recently that we reviewed. You can go check that out. The Kia Sonet as well is playing into this game as well. I've already spoken about the T-Cross. What else? There's quite a number of cars that are in this segment and it's not easy actually to compete in this segment. But what I have to say is that when it comes to Chery, they've proven, especially with the 4 Pro, that actually they can sell cars. They can sell cars. And I'm not sure if this is going to follow into the 4 Pro segment when it comes to the sales and everything else. But I have to say that it looks like it's ready to actually compete. So without further ado, guys, you know how we do it on the channel. I don't want to waste too much time outside the car. We're going to get in, talk about everything else. Let's hit the road. Let's go. All right, here's our key and we're about to hit the road. Of course, this is our steed and let's just jump in. I'm pressing the key because I've turned off the proximity sensing stuff because, I don't like that stuff. Every time you get close to the car, let's turn off the sound because we'll see it later. I don't want Android Auto. It obviously had Android Auto and CarPlay, of course. I've seen that they're wireless, but it cuts here and there. Otherwise, we are in the Tiggo Cross Elite, which is the top spec. There's only 2 variants when it comes to the Tiggo Cross. Either get the Comfort or you get the Elite, which is this one, which is coming at 450,000 rands, and the Comfort one, it's around 400,000 rands. I'll put the correct pricing on the screen. You'll see that it's crisscrossing just a little bit with the Tiggo 4 Pro because the 4 Pro, I think the Elite SE is just below 420,000 rands. If you want that one, again, it has spec that is probably almost equally matched, but the difference then is in the design when it comes to this one because, let me start it. It starts on the mode that you left it on because it has 3 driving modes. This one, it has Eco.
It has entered regular mode,
which is normal, and then there's Sport as well. But I'll leave it on Eco for now. But you'll see, of course, that this is the new design compared to the previous one that was similar to the 7 Pro in a way. And this is what you're getting right now. You will see that this screen, of course, we've seen it on the bigger Tiggos, of course. Now they brought it in here for the aircon controls, but you can also get the aircon controls in the screen, of course. Let me just turn it off here. think if you take this one down, you can also get the aircon controls in there, of course. But the pricing that I indicated earlier, the main differences that I've seen is coming from the advanced driving stuff like adaptive cruise control and all those things that come with it, like the AVM, because this one does come with the 360-degree camera system, which, you know, of course, when it comes to Chery, I actually love how they actually do this stuff. So from that perspective, I think that they've done a great job for what you're getting for 450. But 450 these days can actually get you a lot more cars than you can imagine, because there's quite a number of cars that can actually compete in here. In fact, the cars that I mentioned earlier, I forgot that we also have the Julian, which also is priced almost similarly. Believe it or not, it is actually priced almost similarly. And this car might look a little bit small outside compared to the Julian, because it's actually quite high in terms of the roof here, and you might think that it's small, but actually it's spacious inside. That's one thing that I think it's quite impressive about it. But hey, look, you know what? Let's drive it and we'll talk about everything else on the way, including this competition stuff. So I've seen this gear lever before, I think in the 7 Pro, and I like it. Even this part, this whole panel here looks a little bit familiar from their bigger variants, but I'm not angry at it because they've done well, especially bringing this new screen here that, it's talking to whatever the design elements are going about these days, just giving you this, others call it super screen, and when they extend it all the way, they call it hyper screen. Other brands, they call it whatever that they want to call it. But hey, the inches and everything else, guys, this looks a little bit familiar with other cars. I didn't even check the inches. I'll tell you all about that. I don't even know if you care about it per se, but I think there's a rough patch over there that is like what is this thing now? It was raining and suddenly outside there was mud on the tires and so on. I really don't like that. But right now, I'm on gravel and I'm not doing the gravel test in a way. I am actually just here because I wanted to shoot it where it's a little bit quiet and so on. So here's this patch that I'm talking about. And oh my God, now it's going to force me to wash this car, and I do not want to do that. So you can see that the camera is actually quite clean. It's actually quite, oh my God. Oh, I don't want to wash it. Okay, I'm out. I'm sure outside it's a little bit dirty. But look, this is... I can hear the mud just hitting the undercarriage there. But I said I'm on eco, right? So I will just show you something, because I don't like the fact that when you're driving it slow, it is a little bit jumpy. Let's pull it a bit. Ah! The mud! Whew. Let's pull it a bit. I didn't say it's lazy, right? I didn't say that. Because it's powered by a 1.5 liter turbocharged petrol engine that we are quite familiar with, 108 kilowatts, 210 newton meters of torque, and this one is driven through the front wheels via a 6-speed DCT. This transmission and engine pairing, there is something that I have a quarrel with when it comes to this, because initially when you drive, maybe when you're driving it in town, let me put it like that, that's where I have a problem with, because down low, right, doesn't feel like the torque is touching down low when it comes to lower revs. You have to force it to actually get out of whatever spot that it's in. So in this case, if I want to move it maybe from 0 to 20 kilometers per hour, just moving out of the parking spot, I have to press the throttle quite hard for it to remember that, oh, I need to move. And when it does that, it jumps a bit. I don't like that, because then every day when you're driving, that's what you're experiencing. The sun behind me is crazy. I hope it's not killing the clip. But look, that's something that I really don't like about it, because this is the kind of cars that you live with every day, and I value how it drives when you're driving it normally in town and everything else, than saying I just want to value it on the open road like this, because this is not where I will live with a car like this. I want to take it to work. I'm going to be parking at my workplace. I'm going to be moving around, going for shopping here and there, carrying the kids and everything else, taking them to school and so on. So I want that comfort, and that's something that for me I have a little bit of a quarrel with when it comes to this car. That's probably my biggest point in terms of why I keep saying I can just beat it a bit and say, come on, wake up, man. We need to move. We just need to move. And hey, look, when it comes to this, it's not like it's lazy. It's not lazy in any way, because this is the same engine that you'll find in the 7 Pro. And I think there, because the car is a little heavier, that's where I may have a problem with it. But in here, I don't have a problem with it at all, especially when I'm already moving like this. Yes, it screams, rightfully so. It's a 1.5, but you can see that catching up to what's in front of you, it's not something that you're going to be struggling with. And that's something that probably, when it comes to when it's already moving like this, I'm quite impressed with it. Oh, good braking there. Good braking. Anyway, it has red calipers outside. I don't know why they put that, because I don't think this is sporty in any way. As much as I can put it on sport mode, let me just put it on regular mode. Here on regular mode, probably it's the best that you can get out of this car, especially for everyday driving. I see it's a line, but the way you're driving, I'm sure you're giving me space. For everyday driving, I applaud them for actually saying this is regular mode, because once you put it here, even the steering wheel, man, it feels like it's like tight enough for everyday driving. Moving it and everything else doesn't necessarily struggle that much to actually move it. You can see now it's already on 6, but I'm doing 90, almost 90, and it's revving just below 2000 RPM. So this engine actually loves to rev, and once it finds something just going up a bit, it's already changing down and ready to actually punch. From that perspective, you may say, yeah, at least it's fetching the power when it needs to fetch the power. But if you are a person that values comfort and you live in areas that are like hilly, like for example you are in Cape Town or something like that, you might find that, you know what, it's a little bit annoying, because yeah, it does actually scream a little bit loud when you're doing that. What I like though is that once it settles down on the gear that it needs to settle in, that's where it's going to impress you. And fun enough, even when you're doing like 120 or something like that, as long as you're already at cruising speed, even when it's revving at around 2.4, 2.5, which is quite high for a 120 and a turbocharged engine, I still find it to be quiet. The insulation in here is amazing. They've done a great job. This road is not perfect in any way, but I can feel right now that actually it's giving like a little bit of road noise from the tires that are here. We're talking 18-inch tires. It's not small tires in any way. And there's still feedback that is coming in. But that is when I'm comparing it to probably the higher specs from Chery. For example, from the Chery group, when we drove the J7 just last time, it hasn't even been that long. I remember how it felt like that car is well insulated. You can feel the difference, and this is where I was explaining the positioning of the JQ and the Chery. Chery is more about value for money in what you're getting, because all the stuff that you're getting in here for the price that they're giving you and the way that it's working as well, I'd say, okay, I'm actually sold. I'm actually sold. I understand why you want to sell me this car for this much, but at the same time, it's not the most well insulated when it comes to wind noises, road noises. What I like, that insulation that I'm talking about, is actually coming from the engine. 2.4 RPM, and you don't feel like the engine is screaming at you, especially when you're cruising, like I was saying. So from that perspective, drivability wise, they knocked it for when you're already on the move. I just don't like it when I'm already when I'm in town and I have to be like moving from 0 to 60 to 0 again and again. It's not supportive for me that much, and yeah, I don't like a car that drives like this one. But overall, when I'm talking about this 450 and I'm thinking about the competition, for example, we spoke about the Kia Sonet, which the top spec SX, it's coming in at around 485,000 rands. It's a good looking car, and I can say it can challenge this in terms of looks and everything else, but the engine, nah, it's not going to be able to perform like this one. We look at the Mahindra XUV3XO, which I think it tops at around, what is it, 405 or 454? And when I'm looking at it, that car on the road, the kilowatts might be low, the Newton meters might be low, but that engine, that is a driver's car, especially when you're already on the road like this. I favor it. yes, it looks like on paper it can perform like this, but at the same time, when it comes to the quality and everything else, I'd probably be leaning towards this one in terms of how the layout is, interior, everything else, the way you feel when you're sitting inside. That's where maybe I'd say, yeah, now I see it. The biggest challenge probably is going to come from the Julian. And the Julian it's a funny car. It's a funny car compared to this, because Julian, you can compare it with other bigger cars and even bring it to smaller cars like this, because it fits in with price. And at the same time, it fits in with size when you're looking at it from outside. As much as practicality wise, I may complain and say, Julian, something in the boot needs to be done about that. But hey, when it comes to price, it can compete. And that's where it becomes a little bit funny, because it looks like a big car compared to this one, but at the same time, the pricing is crisscrossing. I can talk about the VW T-Cross, which, yeah, that's a different story, because then to spec it out and everything else, I think the top spec is around 550,000, so you need to pay like 100k more. And when I'm thinking about that as well, I'm thinking, hey, you know what, engine-wise, the numbers, everything seems like this one is better when it comes to the power. But I know that engine, and I've driven it before, even in some Audi A3s, the 30 TFSIs, I know how it performs. So when you love performance, that might be a car that you're looking at. But overall, when it comes to value for money, from what Chery is intending, yep, I think they knew what they were doing here when it comes to that, because there's nothing that it doesn't give. The only issue probably that you will have compared to the others is the refinement of this engine. Like I said, it does scream, and you can see it as well with the average fuel consumption. Now we've done around, since start, I think it was 12 kilometers. I'm averaging 8 liters. I mean, this is a small car, man. 8.6, and then over the last 236 kilometers, I'm averaging 8.5. So from that perspective, if this can go down to at the very least, it can go down to 7 or 6.5, I think we will have a winner in this car overall. Hey, why is everyone stopping? Why is everyone stopping? Is there a truck there or something? Yes, there is a truck. But look, this gives you an opportunity to start talking about the design overall. I told you that I like driving towards late these days, just a little bit like around 5-6 or so on, so that we can also see like the lights, like the ambient lighting and everything in the car as well. And you can see right now, it's actually illuminating. I like this purple color. I've told you about this over and over, even in our night reviews, that I like this purple color, and it comes with a nice ambient lighting. In the Tiggo Cross, I think it comes standard. You will get it as well with the Comfort variant. You will get this, so don't worry, it's there. Even if you want to pay 400k, you'll still get it. So from that perspective, interior design, they've knocked it out of the park. I think they've improved what we've seen with the 4 Pro, and I don't think 4 Pro is in any way, shape or form looking dated right now. You can still get it and be like, okay, you know what, if I like that design, I'll take it. That's it. You won't even have to think too much about it. So this one, when I look at it with this improved screen and icons, when you turn them on, looking at it overall, it just looks nice and great. I just don't like that they used a lot of piano black here, because over time it's gonna be something else. You know, this panel sometimes, I love piano black, especially if it's still looking good, if it's still looking in good shape and everything else. I love how it looks overall, but I know over time it's gonna be scratchy, it's not gonna look good. And that's where then maybe you're gonna be complaining about it. If you could change these panels, and even sometimes maybe guys like that are doing what is this aftermarket, let me just turn so that I can think clearly. Let's put it on sport, man. This road
entered sport mode.
It's 100 there. Let's kick it. See? It's not like it's the quickest, but it's not like anyone behind you can just come to you and start abusing you unnecessarily, because this car is light as well. It's not like it has a lot of weight on it. And that's something that I always felt the Tiggo 4 Pro. If you remember very well, if you've been on the channel long enough, I've even done a video where I was comparing the pulling, what did I say? Whatever that I said, but how fast it pulls from the Tiggo 4 Pro, the 7 and the 8. And look, I've seen this perform on track as well. I was quite impressed in terms of how it was doing. And that one was a CVT, by the way. And it didn't even sound like it's annoying in a way. So yeah, I was still saying the guys that are doing aftermarket whatever's, maybe that's something that you need to consider, because hey, look, these panels, they're gonna look dated and scratchy. That's where you come in to cover this stuff, please. So from that perspective, I think that's my only quarrel. But overall, from design perspective, even in the rear, I'm okay with it because it's not looking off. These seats, man, the fact that the headrest is integrated in here, you'd think that maybe you may complain because you need a different adjustment. But for someone of my size, I'm not complaining. I like how it feels. I like how the seats feel. The adjustments as well. I would appreciate a little bit more under thigh support, but I'm not even getting adjustments for under thigh. So yeah, I would appreciate that, because I know on...
It has entered economy mode. It has entered regular mode.
Thank you for regular mode. So I know that over the long distance, sometimes under thighs can be a little bit of an issue, but this one, you get electric adjustments for the driver's side. For the passenger side, it's only manual, of course. And I put the child seat at the back to show you that actually this car is not as small as it looks from outside. I don't know how they've done it, because it looks a little bit small from outside. But once you get in, the cabin spaces, even if someone is sitting here and there's bulky seat here at the back, they still have sufficient space in front, and you can even leave some space depending on how tall the person is in here at the back. And I was just pretty impressed. Even for me with my size, when you go to the rear, you can still get sufficient space and sit comfortably. I just appreciate that about it. And one thing probably that I will applaud as well, I didn't see the boot space figures, but I've seen that it's better. But believe it or not, when I put the baby stroller, the same baby stroller in the Jolion, I was like, especially the HEV one, the Jolion Pro HEV, I was like, that's it. Okay, this boot is not practical at all. But in here, there's still sufficient space. I can still put like so many plastic bags and be able to just, you know what, travel as well. So you can see that right now I put the baby stroller in there, but there's space as well. There is a space saver spare wheel underneath, and yeah, I think from that perspective, practicality wise, man, they've done a great job, because now you can see I can even put my phone here, cup holders in here. The bins, they're okay. I hardly ever use the bins, honestly. I don't know how many people are using the bins, especially these days, because people are buying Jojo tanks going to work, so maybe people still value those things and so on. But from that perspective, from my side, I can't even complain, man. This car actually offers so much than I even thought it would. Hey, I really thought it's gonna be worse, because there are some Chery variants that I didn't enjoy. This one, besides that particular drive, like short distance drive and so on, there isn't much that I can pinpoint and say this is the worst car. Nah, not in my experience right now. Listen to that. I want to show you a settle. Let's put it on 4, 5, 6, right? Then I'm gonna put it on 120. You can see it's on gear 6. It says I must put it down a bit, and then I'm on 120, locked and loaded, 2.6 RPM. 2.6 RPM is quite a lot, but listen to the engine. 2.6 tells me that it's supposed to be screaming right now. I don't know how they've managed to capture this insulation, especially here. Maybe it's the material that they've used in here, because this material is quite good. It's quite good because soft touch here, soft touch stuff is just this. Reminds me of Mercedes, because I did tell you that plastic next to plastic is always going to do this stuff. It's just this crackling stuff that happens. But I can't really complain much, because this is supposed to be a budget car in a way. Can't believe I'm saying 400,000 is a budget car. Yes, what happened to economy? But hey, look, design wise overall, I can't forget the exterior as well. Look, I started seeing the Tiggo 4 Pro a little bit early before this one, that it looks a little bit dated to me. And because of that, I think they've done well by bringing this, because now it looks a little bit plush, especially in front, man. That diamond grille now, it's more pronounced. It's plush. It's just seamless design now. That DRLs, the ones that are vertical, they support this structure very well, man. Like the silhouette in front, it's well supported by also this DRLs now, man. The lights as well, I like them. They look like the 7 Pro lights, but I can't hate them in any way, because I mean they look quite good as well on this vehicle. Where I'm not sure, it's at the back. Yes, there's a light bar, it looks good, I can't complain about the light bar, but there's just something that looks a little bit off. I'll take this front, but I'll take the back of the 4 Pro currently, and I have almost a perfect car overall. The proportions, I can't be angry at them. Despite having these 18-inch wheels, I still feel like at the back there's some, I don't know, man, some quitnyana there that, you know, if you looked at my quit review, I did mention that rear part, it's getting to me a little bit. But in here, I can't complain much about it, but it's there, man. Overall, the design though, I can't complain about it. When it comes to the features overall, you do get this sunroof as well that is supporting that appeal as well. What I don't like is this rubber here. It's like this sunroof is like an aftermarket sunroof. Doesn't look like a what is this, a factory sunroof. But hey, I can't complain. It's a sunroof after all, and we cannot complain about that. Otherwise, I think, man, besides what I said about the drive, I'm not mad at this car. I'm not mad at this car at all, especially at this price point. Yes, 450 these days can get you in a lot of cars. I mean, there are even bigger cars that you can get for around this price, like your G2, is it Dashing, and so on. You can get cars that are actually, even in the second-hand market, even if you look at cars like your Corolla Crosses and so on, there are bigger cars that you can get, and you will just, you know what, there's a lot of, the market is saturated right now, and the prices are crazy. They're crisscrossing each other. Hey, we are Pingok. You are even scaring the Toyota. What do they call this Toyota again? That one. That one that looks like a Suzuki Grand Vitara. Hey, alright guys, I need to go now and show people. Let's pull it on normal. Look at that steering wheel, just confused. Why are you punching me while I'm still turning? It didn't respond as quickly as possible. And I have to give them on the steering wheel, by the way. They've done well. I've been complaining about Chery vehicles and the steering wheels. It didn't skip. It was on manual actually, but at least it managed to just, you know what, it maintained 3, but it, yeah. Okay, so now sound system. Sound system. Let's play it. In-house sound system. I think it's a 6-speaker. I'll correct that if I find a way to correct it somewhere else, but I think it's a 6-speaker. Let's just play it. So yeah, that's how it sounds. I can't say much. At least it manages, honestly, it manages to reduce the sounds outside and so on. And you can still get almost every instrument that you need to get out of it. I applaud them for that, because we've had other cars here that are just running away, especially when you're driving like this. You can't even hear the bass because it's just dead. You just hear the tweeters, but when you're stopped, you can hear other stuff as well. But I think it's also owed to the insulation that this car has. I think overall, man, look, you can be mad a little bit at the price and start saying I can get something bigger and so on. But really, if you prefer something of this size, especially because some people don't want big cars, and that is based on maneuverability and all those things. That's why people buy cars like Picanto and so on, even when sometimes you find that the pricing is crisscrossing with some crossovers and so on, they still prefer smaller cars. I think in this segment, as much as it's highly competitive, I mean, you can even bring in cars that are even in other, like your Mark Knights, which are much cheaper, your Kaigas and so on. That segment, when you think about it overall, you know that there's a lot of cars that you can get, but at the same time, man, the value that you get out of this, the material use and everything else, I just see cars like your Jolions just coming in and probably just confusing you when you have to choose. But overall, I can't fault Chery per se for what they've done here. I would say that it's not perfect in any way, especially with the fuel consumption and everything else. But overall, come on, man. It's whether you like it or you don't, or you have any quarrels with it, or you've had something that I didn't hear. Again, because Chery does give you that 1 million kilometer warranty, and you know, when it comes to standard warranty, I think it's up to 150,000. You get a 5-year service plan, if I remember very well. I'll put this stuff on the screen. So there's quite a lot of cars that are competing out there. It's difficult to choose, I have to say. It's so difficult to choose that even for me, if I had to choose, I would be a little bit confused right now to say, but which one am I going to be taking? Yep, that's something that I will keep thinking about. But for now, I think I'm not mad at this one. I'm going through. I hope I'm still within. Okay, guys. Anything else that you need from me, you know what to do in the comments. With that said, guys, I appreciate you, man. It's late. I have to go back home. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Really, really appreciate it. And I am out.